What to do when you don't feel inspired, but you want to show up. You don't overthink and you just press record or you press go live. And that's exactly what I did today. I woke up, I didn't feel motivated. I feel a little bit tired because I didn't sleep much last night. And I've been working quite a lot on my course and some other things the past couple of days, and I didn't have time to prepare anything. So I was thinking, oh, I don't feel like doing the live stream today. I don't feel like teaching anything. But at the same time, I know that this is just my ego that is telling to me that you have to be perfect, you have to be prepared. It's just a belief that is trying to stop me to show up for my future self. And I was thinking, if I'm not showing an example to people, how will I teach my clients to do the same? So here we are today. We're going to talk about how to show up when you don't feel like showing up, how to show up for your future self when you don't feel inspired, when you don't feel motivated, when you don't feel ready, because you're never going to really feel ready, believe me, no matter how much you prepare. And perfectionism just leads to procrastination. It's action that leads to success and improvement. And inspiration doesn't come before action. It usually comes from action. So what I thought was, let me just go live and whatever is on my heart will come out and I will share what my intuition is telling me to share with you today without any preparation. And the first thing that is coming to my mind right now is when you make a promise to yourself, the thing that you never want to do is to break promises to yourself. Why? Because if you break promises to yourself, you are damaging your self-confidence. You are just reinforcing a belief that you are not a person that is showing up for the future self, which is not going to help you to shift your identity and to create a better life. So I promised to myself that I want to now work on my consistency with my personal brand, with the YouTube channel, with my business. And if I didn't go live today, when I decided that I want to do 2 live streams per week, and we are approaching the weekend. This is my last weekend in Dominican Republic, so I really want to go out, dance, have fun. So I was thinking, if I don't do the live stream today, the chances that I'm gonna do the live stream tomorrow or Sunday are even lower. And we have these days, like we all have days when we feel like nothing is gonna work out, when we feel down, when we feel unmotivated and not inspired. But the most important thing is not to let this inner voice to stop us, but to show up for ourselves anyway. Another thing is, of course, I am aware why I'm in this mood, and I know that this is just temporary. But I asked myself when I was journaling this morning, or not really morning, like an hour ago, what would make me proud of myself today? What should I do to be proud of myself before I go to bed? And the thing that came to my mind instantly was do the live stream. So even though I didn't have any like bullet points prepared, I didn't even think of a topic that I want to talk about, I didn't even do any research. But guess what? I don't need to do a research to share with you the wisdom in my life experiences. So when I'm teaching different concepts and when I'm teaching different like methods or strategies, yes, I need kind of like a bullet points, at least with bullet points, so that I can follow some form of structure, so that the flow will be understandable and easily digestible for people watching. But today's video is just a video for me to show you an example of what you're supposed to do when you're not ready, when you're not prepared, when you don't feel like showing up, when you're unmotivated and not inspired, because such days will exist. They might be, sometimes you're going to have more such days than the days when you're going to feel motivated and inspired. So the most important thing is not to break promises that you have made towards yourself. Because if you break promises that you are making to yourself, you are telling to your brain that you are not a person that I can trust. So if you are when you promise something to a friend or to someone that you love or to a colleague or your boss, you want to show up because you want to build trust, right? And you will do anything that is needed to fulfill the things that you have promised, to hold to your word, because that's how we build trust. So how do you expect to trust yourself if you're not showing up for yourself and you're not holding the promises that you are making to yourself? You can't. So first insight that is coming from my intuition is building self-trust. And building self-trust is so important for living a free life and building success, whatever success means to you. Whether it's having financial freedom, and financial freedom is different for everyone. Whether it's having a happy family, having children, success is different for every single one of us. So I will let everyone define their own success. But as I said, we cannot build a powerful life and joyful life if we don't trust ourselves. Because when we don't trust ourselves, we can easily get affected by other people's opinions, by societal beliefs. And when this happens, we are not living from our own programming and our own conditions, but we live based on other people's conditions, and other people are creating our lives rather than us creating our own lives. So this is the first thing. Let me take a sip of water and then we can continue. Let's see what is going to come next to my mind. And sometimes when you do the most random things, the most spontaneous things, they are the best. So who knows, maybe all the insights that I'm going to share in this live stream will be the most life-changing one and much better than the ones that I have been preparing. So you never know. I'm so thirsty. So self-trust. Yeah. I hope that this part was clear. So never break promises that you're making to yourself. For example, first thing that came to my mind this morning when I'm journaling, and journaling is important because it helps you to understand where things come from, and it helps you to lower the noise in your mind and to become more self-aware. So people that say, I don't have to journal, I know exactly how things are, it's always important to journal, because once you put the thoughts in front of you, you are an observer of your thoughts and emotions. You are not them. And this is what is most important for better decision making, for taking right decisions and choices, and to understand the full picture that sometimes might be blurry when we are just keeping everything in our mind. So when I started journaling this morning, I knew that, okay, I'm feeling tired today. I couldn't sleep very good last night. And another thing is I'm very aware that of my hormonal changes. So if you're a lady and you're watching this, it's very important to sync your activities and to understand your mood swings based on your cycle. So I know that, okay, I'm entering luteal phase, which is normal that my energy is dropping. Every single female is experiencing a drop of energy in her luteal phase or PMS phase. So I know all the factors that are affecting my mood and that are affecting how I feel today, and the fact that I'm not inspired and motivated. Another thing that is affecting me is that I overworked yesterday and the day before yesterday, and whenever I work long hours, I kind of like waste, not waste, but I invest all my energy into I invested all my energy into the things that I've been doing yesterday and the day before yesterday, because I'm preparing the launch of the course, and I didn't have enough time to recharge. I didn't have enough time to rest to be able to show up at top performance today and to show up with my energy, like the extra energy that I usually have whenever I show up. So whenever I show up, I'm always like excited. I'm always like smiling, full of energy. Even my voice might be different today because I just feel that I don't have a lot of energy. But it's okay. The most important thing is that I'm here, that I showed up. This is what is going to make me proud of myself. And another thing is that I'm not letting the previous belief that was controlling me and stopping me to do things, which was I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready, or it should be perfect. I'm not letting this belief to affect me anymore. And this makes me so much to be proud of myself. This builds even more self-trust. So I know that I am not becoming, I am already this future version of myself. Because I'm not letting my past beliefs, I'm not letting my past beliefs and my past programming to control me today. So I didn't prepare, but I'm here anyway. Because I know that I will, my intuition and what is on my heart is raw, it's true. If I was a person who didn't have wisdom and experience and knowledge to share, I would have felt insecure to show up and just press record and just talk to the camera without having any idea of what I'm going to talk about today. But I know that I have a lot to share, a lot of value, a lot of wisdom, and I know that this is going to be helpful for many people, and many people will resonate with what they're going to hear in this video. So that's why I didn't have to feel any kind of discomfort of not doing this today, not going live. So I made the promise to myself and I'm fulfilling the promise. So when it comes to perfectionism and preparation, sometimes life gets hectic and we cannot prepare for everything. And another thing is people that struggle with perfectionism, they never feel like something is good enough. This is almost always coming from the belief I'm not good enough. So if you, even society makes us to seek validation and to think that things should be perfect, they should be correct, they shouldn't be wrong. When we go to school as children, the education system is made in a way to make us insecure and not to trust ourselves and to seek validation from others. How is this made? When we take exams, the teacher is always telling what is right and wrong. They're always telling what is a right attitude and a wrong attitude. They're always asking, we have to get validated. Like the educational system is teaching us to ask validation in form of marks. Okay, a teacher should put a mark based on my performance. And what is happening? An artist, for example, someone might not be good at drawing. And a teacher will just decide based on their own perception, oh, this drawing is not looking good, so I'm not going to put an A grade for this painting, let me just put D. Who is that person who said what is good and what is bad? And what is this type of system doing to one person? As a child, you don't understand how society is created and how society is operating. You are completely unaware of how beliefs are created and how we are programmed and how this conditioning will affect us in the future. And what happens is this student that is not good at drawing will get discouraged. They will directly integrate the belief of I'm not good at drawing. And if they don't question this belief later on, they will carry this belief with themselves forever. But we know so many examples of people that have failed at certain fields at school and educational system, but they became the best and won Nobel Prizes and became the best movie producers and artists in outside of education. So what is this telling to me? This is telling me that the educational system and society has been structured in a way to brainwash us early on so that they can create insecurities and gaps and integrate beliefs in us so that they can control us. And if you don't start questioning all the things that you've been doing and all the things that have been happening in your childhood, you will be controlled by them forever. So this problem with perfectionism is a problem that so many people are facing. And this is mainly coming from childhood, almost for everyone. So I was aware of my problem with perfectionism. And once I started facing the fear of not being good enough and not getting validated and not getting approved by others, once I became first of all aware of it through journaling, I knew that in order for me to break this belief, I have to integrate the new belief, which is from I'm not good enough to I'm capable of doing anything that I want with enough practice. Once I shifted this belief from not supporting to supporting belief for my future self, I started doing things based on the new belief so that I can build this new identity. So I worked a lot with a lot of visualizations, a lot of therapies, and I started doing things that of course felt very uncomfortable at first. And this is also a little bit uncomfortable. This is out of my comfort zone. But I didn't want to overthink, because if I started overthinking before pressing go live, I would have said, oh, what if I just get a blackout and I don't know what to say on the live stream? And then what if people start criticizing me and they say, who do you think that you are? How can you just go live and not prepare and this and that? But these are all judgmental people that haven't done work on themselves, that have very low empathy, that have been that are controlled by this societal conditioning. And if you run by the programming of society, guess what? You will live as the majority of people are living. And you are never going to be happy, and you are never going to create your own life. You're going to live the life that is created by society, not the life that you created by yourself. Oh, you see, I'm talking a lot. So, as I said, you don't have to prepare, you don't have to feel ready. You just have to do, and then whenever you do, you're just reinforcing the new belief. You are building more self-trust, and with more self-trust, you're building more confidence. With more confidence, you will be showing up more and more, and with that, you're building a much bigger life. And when you show up in social interactions, you're going to show up as a completely new person. You're going to emit a completely different energy to the universe, to people, and people will look at you as a different person. Why? Because you became a different person. This is how the actual shift is happening. By you doing things that you don't want to do, that feel uncomfortable, that first feel scary, but the more that you do them, they lose power over you. You take control over them instead of them controlling you. So before, I was a person who will take things personally, and I will get offended by people criticizing me and telling me, how couldn't you prepare? Or whatever negative comment they would give me, I would take it personal, and I would just think, oh, they are just confirming that I'm not good enough. Now, guess what? I don't care what people say. Because whenever I hear criticism and judgment from people, I just know that they have problem with exactly what they're criticizing me about. I understood that perception, everyone has their own perception. And what is perception? Perception is the lenses through which we look at the world. So same thing can happen to two different people, but they will look at things at the same thing in a completely different way. So let's say two people go through a breakup, and one person moves on very, very quickly, the other one is dwelling on that breakup forever. So it's the same event, but because of the different perception that these two people have, they look at this situation in a different way. Or two people will lose a job. One person will be like, oh my God, my life is over. How am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? How am I going to support my family? How am I going to take care of my family? What am I going to do? They're just putting more fuel to the fire to get into a more negative spiral, rather than thinking, this is a sign that I have to do something different. Maybe a better job is waiting for me. Maybe I have to start my business. So the other person that has a different way of thinking, that has a growth mindset, that has shifted their programming from negative and unproductive to positive and productive, they would look at this same situation. Perfect. Me losing the job means that I'm going to have extra time to finally start focusing on the things that are important for me, to finally put all my effort into my business and to do things that are making me happy. So the same event, but two different interpretations. And we interpret things based on our perception. Once we understand how perception works, and perception, where does or how is perception formed? The perception that we have depends on the beliefs that we carry. And from here, I'll go back again to the awareness. So when you start journaling and when you start noticing, I'm feeling this way because of this. So for example, if I give the example of the person who lost the job. I lost my job, and I feel that this is a sign for me to start my business. So you see that you don't look at this situation from a negative perspective. But let's say if you were the person who perceived this situation as a very negative and traumatic and stressful one, when you start journaling, when you write down, I lost my job and I'm feeling very overwhelmed and stressed because I'm not going to have money to take care of my family, to pay my bills, you should start asking yourself, once you put it on the paper, ask yourself, why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way? What can I do to change my belief? Because once I change my belief, guess what? If you have watched my previous video, live stream on identity shift, you know that I mentioned about the reticular activating system, or the filter of the brain. So if my brain is saying that I lack opportunities, if my belief is that there are not enough opportunities, if I have a scarcity mindset, the filter of the brain will make you blind not to see the opportunities. But if you're this positive person, that things are happening for them, not to them, and they think that everything is abundant, that there is abundance of everything, they will have the mindset to seek for opportunities, and they're teaching their brain to look up for opportunities. So when they come out to the world with this different energy, they are emitting different energy and attracting the opportunities. But if you come out to the world, and you might not even come out of to the world if you're negative and stressed and overwhelmed, but when you come out to the world with this energy, this new energy that shows up, you will see that people will look at you, they will talk to you, and that's how opportunities arise. You're gonna start communicating with other people, and who knows, you might find your new business partner, or you might find a new better job, or you never know what will come and from where things are gonna come. Maybe you're gonna have a random conversation with someone in a cafe or in a shopping mall or in the supermarket, and they might give you the best business idea that will change your life forever. So everything happens for a reason, but people should train their brains to look at every single situation as a lesson, not as something traumatic that happened to them. They should think of everything, this is happening for me. If the situation is negative, what lesson should I learn from this situation? What lesson is the universe trying to teach me with this situation? Once you learn the lesson, you just move on. You don't get emotional, you don't overreact, you are activating your rational brain, and you just accept things as they are and you move on. And this is the best thing that you can do, because this is what is going to drive you forward. This is how you're going to change your life. You're not going to change your life overthinking. If overthinking is never solving problems, it just creates more problems. So if I started overthinking before the life, what if I get a blackout? What if people criticize me? What if I don't know what to say? I would never press go live. But what did I do? I'm tired, but let me just get it done, and then I can go to the beach and enjoy early weekend, or read a book, or go for a nice dinner, or go to the gym. Because this morning I wrote in my journal that I'm gonna be really proud of myself, and if I didn't do it, I was not gonna be proud of myself. I was gonna be disappointed. But even though I'm not ready, I'm not prepared, like, I know that I have a lot of value to share. I don't have to prepare, I'm ready as I am. Let me just take a sip of water, and I'm gonna talk about how I healed from the perfectionism and how powerful it is and what I did afterwards. So, yeah. Wow. When I'm talking, my mouth is getting so dry, which is normal. Yeah, so back to perfectionism. We all think that things have to be perfect, but what I understood and realized while doing my healing journey about perfectionism or not being good enough, I understood that imperfection is what makes us perfect, because this is what makes us authentic. What do I mean by that? Let me repeat it one more time. Imperfection is perfect, because that's what makes us authentic. That's what makes us us, that's what makes us real. If we were all perfect, and who defines perfect, first of all, it's society. And I mentioned already what society does, how the education systems are developed, and how this is kind of integrating beliefs in children in order for them to be controlled in the future. So perfect is defined by society. And once you understand that imperfection, or the way that you are, is the best way that you can be, and you accept yourself as you are, that's how you create self-love. And self-love and self-trust are the most important things for you to be able to move forward, to create a beautiful and enjoyable, fulfilling life. So once I went through all these therapies, and the best therapy was healing my inner child. And this was a therapy that I did in Asia. It was an art session. And this was the session when I decided to release the anxiety that pay attention to the word decided. So everything is our own decision. Once we understand that, once we decide something, that it's going to be this way, it's decided, and we're operating from this new identity. So I decided I'm going to change my identity. I'm going to operate from this new identity that will not let all these programming to control my life and to control my decisions, to control my actions. So on this therapy, it was the first therapy that truly helped me to purify all these negative emotions, all the emotions that were stuck in my body, that were stuck in my mind, all this stored energy. I just let it out, and I was crying on this therapy without releasing any sound. Like, just tears were falling from my eyes. I was with one trader, and I remember he was just looking at me and he was like, wow, what's happening with you? But it was such a perfect, I don't know, it was such a therapy that can't be described with words. It can only be felt, and it felt like something super heavy that I felt that I had on my chest just evaporated. So from that moment on, I kept working with myself, visualizing, journaling a lot, because I know that in order for me to reinforce this new belief, to reprogram my mind, I have to repeat it. Because the reprogramming happens with repetition. I have developed a bunch of exercises and visualizations in my course for people that are ready to step into their new identity. And I'm explaining there all the steps that I took in order to be able to get to this new identity myself. So I continued doing all these things, the visualizations, the journaling, and all other mindfulness techniques that I was doing to be able to put myself in the emotion of this future self. And once I reached the point of me being able to do what I'm doing today and just showing up whenever I have to show up and be ready without thinking of, oh, do I look perfect? I don't care anymore about people's opinions, because, as I said, whenever someone is criticizing you or judging you, they're just showing what they struggle with. Because what I noticed with myself is that whenever I get triggered about something, this is just a sign that I have to do inner work and to understand what is triggering me. Because we only get triggered when something is threatening our ego. And the ego is the picture that we want to show up with in front of society, the picture that we want to paint about ourselves. And I decided I'm not going to be a person that will let my ego to control me. I will always show up as my real authentic self. And I don't care what other people think about it. I don't care what other people will say about it. So that's what I'm doing, and that's what I want to encourage other people to do. Because this is freedom. This is freedom for me. Freedom of all these negative thoughts, freedom to be yourself, to be you. There is no better feeling than that. And once it all happened, I decided to put a tattoo. I was thinking, this was such a huge milestone in my life. This was the biggest milestone in my life, I would say. Because I know that so many people are living their lives, whole their lives until death, based on other people's conditioning and how other people are telling them to live, not how they want to live. And me being able to reprogram all this past conditioning and to overcome all these things that are so difficult to overcome, I thought this should be, I have this artistic soul, and I wanted to have this as a tattoo on my body. So I made a tattoo on which I have Lord Ganesha, And one of the tasks of the elephant, because it's an elephant, is broken, which represents exactly what I mentioned. Imperfection is perfect, because this is what makes us authentic. This is what is letting us to be vulnerable, to be... this is also a sign of strength. This is a sign of you just showing how brave and how strong you are, because it's not easy to just show up as you are, to show up as yourself, when you know that you're going to be faced with criticism. You know that people can make you feel very uncomfortable, but you are much stronger than this criticism, and you are not letting other people's opinions to affect you. That's when you have full power. That's when you have full control over your life, and you are not letting other people to affect you. And when you are a person who cannot get affected by other people, other strong people will sense that. Other people will feel that this is a person that I can trust. This is a person that I can rely on. And guess what? Everyone wants a partner that they want to rely on. No matter if it's a business partner, if it's a partner. Everyone wants to be surrounded by people that they can rely on, that they can trust. But if you don't trust yourself, no one else can trust you. And it goes back to what I mentioned at the beginning. How do we build self-trust? We build self-trust by not breaking promises to ourselves. And it's all interconnected. Like, even though I haven't prepared any script, but look, the words, how my words are just coming, I'm just having downloads and connecting all the things while I'm talking to you. It's all interconnected. So it all starts with super small steps, and it adds up and adds up and adds up, and you just shift from being one person to being a completely different one. And your world becomes different with that as well. Let me see. Oh, look, I have also people who joined the live. I thought I was going to be alone, just talking to the camera and people watching the live later. Hello and welcome. No, I'm not in Bali. I'm in Dominican Republic. Hey, Sophia. Oh, the book Brave, New World in a Way. I don't know this book. But I love reading, so I'll definitely check it out. There is so much wisdom in books. So much wisdom. But people should not just read for the sake of reading. They should implement all the wisdom and the knowledge that is shared in books. Like most of the inner work that I've done and the shifts that I've had have been from me reading books, journaling, and questioning myself how I perceive different information that I'm reading in books, and having this realization and taking action based on the realization that I've had. So this has been such a huge part. Reading books have been such a huge part of my healing journey, and almost every single successful person that I know that is living a life that I admire, they are all reading, and they have all they have life experience, of course, but they have lots of wisdom that is coming from books, because there is so much wisdom that is shared in books. So many people are spending so much time on social media, scrolling on TikTok, on Instagram, so many different places. And what do they do by that? When you consume content that is just giving you bad dopamine and just reconfirming your old beliefs, everything has a snowball effect. So the negative thoughts have a snowball effect, the positive thoughts and actions have a snowball effect. So once you start, for example, just scrolling on social media and comparing yourself to other people, looking at how other people are living and thinking of how miserable your life is and how much you hate your job and how bad you are and how bad of a trader you are because so many others are making so much more profits, and looking at other people and thinking, oh, they have much better body than mine, they have lots of things that I don't have. This is, and you're just sitting there and scrolling and just reconfirming your negative beliefs more and more and more and more. And this is just leading to depression and you just being in an even more miserable state. Instead of doing this, why don't you just take down your phone and just, let's say if you're thinking, oh, this girl or this guy has much better body than mine, I don't feel self-confident, or I don't have confidence because I don't like the way I look, why don't you just leave your phone and go to the gym? This is a shift of identity. And why don't you, once you start journaling, you become aware of the habits and actions that are making you feel worse. And if you write in your journal, for example, I've been scrolling on TikTok and Instagram lately, and I'm feeling low in energy, I feel demotivated, I feel uninspired, I feel more insecure. This is a sign that you're not doing something that is useful for your future self, that is useful for you. So this is the first step. Okay, awareness. This means that this habit is harming me. How can I shift this habit into a good one? Instead of scrolling on opening Instagram and TikTok at the morning, why not starting my day with a book, with a self-help book that can help me to get out of this negative spiral, negative cycle? For example, when you start, if we are talking about the example that I gave about your body and that you don't feel comfortable how you look or confident in how you look, if you start your day by, let's say, reading a few pages and then going and hitting the gym, you're not inspired before you take action. You get inspiration after you take action, as I said. I wasn't feeling inspired to talk before I clicked go live. Now look at me. I'm talking for how many? 45 minutes. I've been just talking and talking and talking. So if you just change your habits, understand first which habits are nourishing me, which habits are damaging me. Once you change these small habits, guess what? You start going to the gym, your body starts changing, your mood changes, because when you're physically active, it releases the healthy dopamine. And you are feeling more motivated, you are feeling more energized, and you do more. You don't procrastinate. And once you start doing more, you build more confidence, you build more self-trust, and you become a better version of yourself. Everything starts from a very small thing, and then it becomes huge. Because the snowball effect, we can see it in everything possible. Everything. Addresses themes such as social control and rejection of individuality. Interesting. I'll definitely check out this book. I'm always reading a couple of books at once. I can never just sit and read one book and finish it and then start a new one. I'm always reading like 3 to 4 books at once. And the reason for that is because depends on the time of the day when I'm reading and depends on my mood. I don't want to force myself to, for example, read a book about, let's say, fundamental analysis at night when my brain is supposed to shut down, when I'm supposed to relax, when I'm supposed to go to bed and sleep. This is a book that I'm supposed to read when I'm about to activate my brain, when I need focus, when I have to absorb information and study. I would read, before bed, I would read a book that will help me relax, that will help my subconscious mind, reprogramming of my subconscious mind. For example, when I don't read before bed, when I just listen to an audiobook, I try to listen to books that are going to help me with reprogramming my subconscious mind and remind me of the way how the universe operates, remind me of the things that I'm supposed to do on a daily basis. Because when we are shifting from beta brainwave state, which is the state when we are active, when our logical brain is active, the prefrontal cortex, towards alpha and theta. Alpha is the more relaxed state that you achieve once you start like meditating, when you're more relaxed. Once we shift towards alpha and slowly start shifting towards theta, theta is the place where we meet the when we reach to the subconscious mind. That's why so many therapies are done by healers putting people into a specific state. Doing hypnosis is actually putting a person into a theta brainwave state so that they can reach the subconscious mind to be able to do the reprogramming. So before I go to bed, I like to listen to such kind of content or such kind of books so that this is gonna work for me, not against me. I'm not gonna read fiction, which I never read actually, but something, for example, a crime. I used to read criminal books before. I don't know, I found them so cool. But back then, it was just reinforcing negative beliefs. It was just triggering more fear. Now I don't read such kind of books anymore. I don't watch movies that are gonna make me not sleep well and dream something bad. It's very important to be very aware of the content that you're consuming because it affects your brain a lot. So back to the brainwave states. When we start with putting ourselves into alpha, theta, it's important to consume information or content, no matter if it's a podcast, a book, or an audio book. You want to listen to content that will support your future self, because that's where the reprogramming happens, when we are in theta brainwave state. And after theta comes delta, which is the deep sleep, when we fall asleep and our subconscious is never shutting down. It's when the conscious is completely shut off. That's the delta brainwave state. So that's why morning routines and evening routines are all very important, because of the brainwave state shifts and how it affects us. So if you start your morning and your evening, I'm talking a lot about that in the course. If you start your morning and your evening in a way that is just supporting your negative beliefs and is supporting the things that are holding you back, you're never going to get out of this spiral. So make sure to be aware of all the actions that you're doing on a daily basis. And as I said before, you're not going to be aware if you don't reflect on your life through journaling. You're never going to be aware. No matter how, even if you say, I'm aware, because I'm thinking about it, you're going to just be overwhelmed if you just think about things and not write them down and take them out of your mind. Because, as I said, things happen in life. Sometimes you're going to be less stressed and more aware, and you would be able to be more in the present moment. But sometimes when things happen, you have to rush, you have to do lots of things, and that's when the overwhelm comes. When you have lots of things that you're already aware of, and there are too many things that you're not ready for, but you have to handle them anyway. If you haven't put down all the things that have been bothering you or you've been thinking about, that's when when you're gonna start feeling overwhelmed. This is spiking your cortisol, and when you spike your cortisol for a longer period of time without rest, that's when you get into survival mode. And once you get into survival mode, you activate scarcity mindset. Once you activate scarcity mindset, fear kicks in, and your life continues the way that the negative way, the way that you don't want it to continue. That's why whenever even if you have been through a healing journey, you reach the state of inner peace. People usually say once you awaken, you can never fall asleep again. That's, I don't know if it's true or not. And by the way, truth is whatever we accept as truth. Whatever our subconscious mind accepts as truth. But we have to maintain. We for example, if I have reached the state of very high consciousness, but if I don't maintain it, and if I don't get enough rest, if I don't work on myself to be aware on my actions and how different things are influencing me on a day-to-day basis, it's going to be very easy for me to fall back to these bad habits and to activate again negative loop of thinking, or start again like skipping workouts, scrolling on social media. It's not as easy once you are aware and once you've been through the whole journey, because you're gonna catch yourself much quicker. So it takes longer time for you to get back. Once you have shifted your identity, you will have to again work with yourself to. I mean, once, like, let's say one very bad thing happens, like loss of a loved one or something that is gonna affect you a lot emotionally. If you don't give yourself enough time to process it, to feel the emotions, to release them, to let all the emotions to get processed, and if you don't stay aware of everything that you're doing, and aware of how this situation is going to affect you in different areas of your life, you're going to set up yourself to go back to old behaviors and habits that you're not proud of. So that's why it's always important to work with ourselves, to always reflect on everything that we do, to take conscious decisions of how we want to create and operate our life, and never to break the promise that we're giving to ourselves. So with that, I think I'm gonna slowly finish this live stream. I didn't feel like going live, and I've been talking without a pause for 50 minutes, more than 50 minutes. Recommend the book about overcoming impulsiveness. There is no one book. There is no one book that will solve your problem. Everything is a process. So first, what is the first thing that I mentioned that the first step towards a change is something. What is this thing? Let me see if you have been listening. What is the first step towards change? I'm not sure if you're still here. I'm gonna wait for 10 more seconds, and if you don't answer, I'll give you the answer. Okay, the first, you're not there. I don't know if you're just afraid of giving an answer, if it's gonna be a wrong one or a right one, or you just left the live stream. But the first step towards change is awareness. So if you don't reflect on what is making you to react impulsively, and you understand where this impulsiveness comes from, nothing is going to change. No book will change the impulsiveness. Everything starts here, and it's a process. Many people are looking for a strategy or for a method, but strategies and methods are never they're not working. It's the principles that are true, not the strategies and the methods. I talked about it in the last live stream about manifestation. So strategies and methods are just ways that are supporting you to get to a certain point. It's more like tools rather than the actual thing that is driving you forward. So in order for you to get from point A to point B, it's not, you just need, you need multiple things, not just one thing. You need a car, but this car cannot go if it doesn't have, let's say, benzene. So you have to have more things in place to be able to get from point A to point B. There is never like just one thing that will change everything for you. It's multiple things put together. And the process of first of all awareness, realization, and then shift is taking time. It's not something that just happens overnight. And this is something that the course that I'm going to launch in a week from now is about. It's taking people from the point of, it's taking people through a whole journey of identity shift. And I'm sharing lots of principles, lots of methods, exercises, and strategies on how to reprogram your mind, identify your limiting beliefs, change them to empowering ones, and also teaching you how to make this rewiring in the brain, explaining the scientific parts of it and the practical parts of it. So if you're interested in, if you want to invest in yourself and you want to solve the problem with your impulsiveness, understand where it comes from, and shifting, healing the root cause, and shifting your identity so that you're not gonna be impulsive, then you are more than welcome to check out the link in the description and sign up on the waitlist so that you can get a notification when the course is out. This book is fiction, but was quite interesting in a way. I mean, sometimes there are books that are more like storytelling. It doesn't have to be all the time just self-help. I don't read, almost every single book has hidden messages, values, and insights. But for me, I'm more, for example, I wouldn't read a romance book. It's just not a book that I would be interested in. Or sometimes I'm interested in interesting stories, but it's not really a book that I would be like, oh, let me go and buy this book. If by any chance a book gets into my hands and I have nothing to, and I feel like reading and relaxing and I don't have access to another book, I might start reading something. For example, there is one book called Bulletproof, and it's written by a CIA agent, Amy Pomporos, and she's sharing stories that things that she has been through as a CIA agent. But I find this book very, even though it's like a storytelling, she's sharing about the 9/11 attack and a bunch of other stories. But when she shares the story, she's also sharing a lot about her emotional state and how they have been trained as CIA agents to deal with fear. Because they still feel fear, but they should be aware of when the fear kicks in and what they're supposed to do when fear kicks in such kind of challenging situations. So, for example, this book is more like storytelling, but has so many interesting insights. Okay, it's been almost an hour, and I think I've been talking quite a lot. So thank you for everyone who joined, and I hope that you enjoyed this live stream. One more reminder, my course is launching in just a week, and if you're interested in investing in yourself, investing in your future self, and want to change your identity, change your life, change the things that you're not happy with, make sure to join the wait list so that you can get notified when my course is out. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you on Monday. Take care and lots of love. Bye-bye.